the illusion of choosing the right career path. What if the career you think you chose was never truly your choice? Consider this. The path you walk, the decisions you've made, all led you here, but were they truly yours to make? You've spent years crafting a career, believing it's the fruit of your labor, your passion, your desire. But what if it's all a mirage? What if you were never free to choose, and every step you took, every job you applied for, was just an echo of everything that came before it? Imagine, you're sitting in your office, staring at your computer screen, and the thought creeps in, was this where you were supposed to be? Perhaps you spent years training for this job, thinking it would bring fulfillment, only to find yourself trapped in the same routine, day after day. The paychecks come, but the passion is gone, replaced by a sinking feeling of never quite reaching your true potential. This paradox is not just about jobs. It's about life itself. From the moment you were born, the influences around you, the people you met, the schools you attended, the culture that shaped you, have all led you to believe this was the right path. Were these your choices, or were they simply shaped by the circumstances that surrounded you? The expectations, the influences, the pressures, they molded you into someone who may not even recognize the dreams they once had. You may argue that you made decisions, that you followed your passions. But what if those passions were planted in you from the beginning? What if your decisions are simply a reflection of everything you've been taught, everything you've absorbed, like a sponge soaking up the water of societal expectations and norms? Can you even choose the career you want, or are you just following the invisible strings of influence, wandering through a maze that was designed long before you were born? As you reflect on your own path, the discomfort begins to build. Can you trace your steps back to a moment where you felt truly free? Or are you stuck in a loop, unable to break free from the patterns laid before you? This thought doesn't just disrupt your career choice, it shakes the very foundation of everything you thought you knew about choice itself. How do you know that what you call your choice is truly yours? The illusion of moving abroad. There's a dream that so many carry, a longing to escape, to start over in a distant land, believing that by simply changing locations, they can change their entire lives. Moving abroad is the ultimate form of liberation, the escape from everything that feels limiting. But what if, in our pursuit of freedom, we are only walking deeper into a trap? Picture this. You land in a new country, excited by the newness, the promise of fresh opportunities. But soon, the initial excitement begins to fade, replaced by a creeping sense of disorientation. The language barrier, the cultural differences, the overwhelming realization that you don't belong, at least not yet. The dream you once had of freedom feels increasingly like a prison of unfamiliarity. The very thing you thought would liberate you begins to feel suffocating. But what if this is exactly what was meant to happen? What if the idea of moving abroad, of starting fresh, was never about freedom at all? Perhaps it was just another form of running away, a flight from the very issues you were trying to escape. No matter where you go, are you not still you, bringing the same problems, the same doubts, the same insecurities with you? The scenery changes, but the internal struggles remain. In fact, this paradox deepens when you realize, is it truly freedom to leave behind the place that shaped you? Or is that just another illusion? Are you simply trying to outrun the parts of yourself that are too painful to confront? Can you ever escape yourself, or do you carry your limitations with you, no matter how far you go? The paradox lies in the fact that, by moving abroad, you may not be freeing yourself, but rather reinforcing the notion that there is no true escape. You may be running, but you are always running towards something you cannot outrun, your own sense of self. The moment you leave one place behind, you are still left with the same reflection in the mirror. The freedom you seek may simply be another form of imprisonment, wrapped in the guise of adventure. What if the only way to truly escape is to stop running, to face the very thing you've been fleeing from? The illusion of changing jobs. So, you hate your job. You feel unfulfilled, exhausted by the monotony, drained by the lack of purpose. Surely, a change is the answer, right? Another job, a new company, a fresh start. This time, it'll be different. You're convinced this time, this job will be the one to bring you happiness. But what if the act of changing jobs is not the solution at all? What if, instead, it's merely another symptom of the problem, reinforcing the very cycle that's holding you captive. Imagine, you leave your current job, full of optimism. You land a new position, one that promises excitement, purpose, and potential. Yet, within months, the excitement begins to fade. The same feelings of dissatisfaction return, though in a slightly different form. The tasks are different, the people are new, but the emptiness inside remains unchanged. The office is no longer the issue. You are. This paradox is about the eternal cycle of discontent. You leave one job, convinced that change will bring fulfillment, but you find yourself facing the same internal void. The pattern repeats, again and again, a loop you can never quite break. It's not the job itself that's the problem. It's the restless need for external validation, the unrelenting search for purpose outside of yourself. Changing jobs becomes a temporary escape, but it never addresses the underlying issue, the dissatisfaction within. Is the problem with the job, or is it with your inability to find fulfillment within yourself? The uncomfortable truth is that changing jobs may not be the answer at all. The cycle will continue, as long as you keep looking for solutions outside, instead of within. The only way to truly break free is not to change jobs, but to change your relationship with work, with life, and with yourself. If the change doesn't come from within, can any job ever satisfy you? The illusion of buying versus renting a home. Buying a home is often seen as the pinnacle of financial success and stability. Renters are seen as transient, living without roots, while homeowners are celebrated for putting down permanent foundations. But what if owning a home, the very symbol of security, is actually a trap? What if, in the pursuit of home ownership, you're not gaining freedom, but merely binding yourself to a future you cannot control? Imagine this. You finally purchase your dream home, the one you've worked years to afford. It's yours, no more landlords, no more uncertainty. At first, you feel an overwhelming sense of accomplishment, a sense of ownership. But over time, the reality of home ownership sets in. The mortgage payments, the constant repairs, the unrelenting maintenance, it's all more burdensome than you ever anticipated. Your house, once a symbol of freedom, has become a constant source of stress. The paradox here is that home ownership is often marketed as the ultimate form of freedom. Yet, in reality, it may be the thing that locks you in place. You are tied to a specific location, burdened by financial obligations, and responsible for the upkeep of something that constantly requires your attention. The freedom you thought you gained may actually be an illusion, a gilded cage with no way out. Is owning a home truly a symbol of stability, or is it a chain that ties you down, making you more dependent than ever before? The deeper question here is whether true freedom can ever be found in possessions or property. Does owning a home give you security, or does it simply create a new form of attachment, a new form of control that you must constantly maintain? Can you ever be free if you're tied to something that requires your constant care? The illusion of marriage. Marriage is often regarded as the ultimate union, the coming together of two souls in a perfect bond of love and mutual understanding. We are taught to believe that marriage completes us, that it's the final step in the journey of self-actualization. But what if, in seeking to bind ourselves to another person, we are simply creating a new set of limitations? What if the very institution we believe will set us free is actually a mental trap, one that binds us more than it frees us? Picture this. You stand at the altar, surrounded by loved ones, promising to love and cherish another person for the rest of your life. The vows are spoken, the rings exchanged, and for a moment, it feels as if you've found the perfect match, the person who will make you whole. But over time, the cracks begin to show. The endless compromises, the disagreements, the moments of loneliness even when you're with someone. What you thought was a lifelong partnership starts to feel like a series of negotiations, unspoken contracts, silent expectations, and a deep, gnawing sense of losing your own identity. The paradox of marriage is not in the love itself, but in the expectation that love will be enough. When you commit to someone else, you are, in essence, giving up parts of yourself, your time, your choices, your freedom. This is not a sacrifice that can be easily undone, and often, the more you sacrifice, the more you lose touch with who you are. The more you give to the relationship, the more you may lose yourself in the process. And yet, We continue to believe that marriage is the ultimate expression of love. Is marriage a true union of two people, or is it an inevitable clash of individualities that erodes the self? This paradox forces you to question the nature of commitment and the price we pay for intimacy. The more you commit, the more you may wonder if you've simply traded one form of independence for another form of dependence. Is true love defined by sacrifice, or is it found in the ability to be free even within a relationship? The illusion of choosing to have children. Having children is often seen as the most natural, life-affirming decision a person can make. We are told that parenthood brings ultimate fulfillment, that raising children is the most profound purpose in life. But what if, in bringing new life into the world, we are not fulfilling a higher calling but rather perpetuating a cycle we have no control over? What if the decision to have children is not truly a decision at all, but a biological and societal compulsion that we simply cannot escape? Imagine, you decide to have children because it feels like the right thing to do. Your friends, your family, society all expect it, and you think to yourself, this is what I meant to do. But soon, the weight of the decision becomes more apparent. Children are a lifelong responsibility, a commitment that alters the very core of who you are. You give up your time, your freedom, your personal ambitions, all for the sake of another life. But are you really making this choice freely, or is it just an echo of biological instincts and societal pressures? The paradox here lies in the fact that the desire for children is often framed as the pinnacle of personal fulfillment. Yet, this very desire may not be an individual choice at all. It may be a deep-seated biological instinct, shaped by the evolution of the species. We think we are choosing to have children, but what if, in reality, the decision has been made for us by nature itself? Are we truly choosing to have children, or are we merely following a biological imperative, a societal script, that we have no control over? The deeper question here is whether we can ever truly choose anything that feels natural. If our desires, our instincts, and our decisions are shaped by forces we can't control, can we ever really claim true autonomy over our lives? Can you ever truly decide to have children, or are you simply fulfilling a role that's been assigned to you from the moment you were born? The illusion of adopting a pet. Adopting a pet is often seen as a noble act, a rescue, a life saved. We believe we are offering a new life, a fresh start, and in doing so, we imagine we are changing both their life and our own. But what if, in adopting a pet, we are not saving them, but instead, trapping ourselves in a new form of dependency? What if the act of rescuing an animal is not as selfless as we think, but a way of filling a void that we don't know how to address? Picture this: you walk into an animal shelter, and there, behind the bars, is the animal you'll adopt. It tugs at your heartstrings, and you're filled with the belief that you are saving this creature from a life of neglect. You take them home, and for a time, it feels like you've done something good. But soon, the reality sets in. Pets require constant attention, care, and commitment. They become a responsibility that binds you to a schedule, a routine. The love you have for them is undeniable, but the time, the effort, the expense, it begins to weigh on you. The paradox of adopting a pet is that we believe we are rescuing them, but what we often fail to realize is that we, too, are being rescued. A pet provides companionship, but it also creates a dependency, a new form of attachment. We think we've given them a better life, but in truth, we've bound ourselves to their needs and care. The love we feel may be real, but so too is the sense of obligation that follows. Are we truly saving them, or are we simply creating a new bond that we cannot escape, one that fills a void in our own lives? Adopting a pet becomes a reflection of our own need for connection, our own need to be needed. In the end, we are not rescuing them, we are rescuing ourselves from the loneliness or emptiness we can't face. Can we ever rescue someone without it, in some way, rescuing us? The illusion of pursuing higher education. We are told that education is the key to success, the door that opens to endless opportunities. Higher education, in particular, is hailed as the ultimate form of personal and professional growth. But what if, in our relentless pursuit of degrees and certifications, we are not elevating ourselves, but rather entrenching ourselves deeper into a system that values conformity over creativity, specialization over freedom. What if higher education, instead of expanding our minds, is just a trap that molds us into compliant workers for a system that doesn't care about our individual potential? Imagine, you graduate, filled with the pride of your academic achievements. The degree is in your hand, the possibilities endless. Yet, the moment you step into the world, the dream begins to crack. Your degree, once a symbol of your potential, seems irrelevant. Employers demand more experience, more skills, more specialization. The knowledge you spent years acquiring feels like a fleeting shadow, always just out of reach of what is truly needed in the workforce. This paradox is not just about the disappointment of not landing the job you expected, it's about the very nature of education itself. Higher education promises to open doors, but what if it only locks you into a specific role, a narrow field, a set of expectations that limit your potential rather than expand it? The hours spent in classrooms, the endless papers and exams, they are not just tests of knowledge, but tests of conformity. The system rewards those who can navigate it, who can follow its rules, rather than those who think outside the box. Is higher education truly about unlocking your potential, or is it simply a mechanism for creating obedient workers who are ready to be absorbed into an existing system? As you sit with this question, you begin to wonder, was your pursuit of education ever about your own growth, or was it simply a response to societal pressure, an attempt to fit into a mold that was already created for you? What if the very thing we call education is just another form of control, another trap that convinces us we are growing, when in fact we are shrinking into predefined roles? The illusion of starting your own business versus working for someone else. The common narrative tells us that starting your own business is the pinnacle of success, the ultimate form of freedom. Entrepreneurs are admired for their independence, their courage to break free from the chains of traditional employment. But what if this idealized version of entrepreneurship is just another form of slavery, one that binds you to endless work and responsibility in exchange for fleeting moments of freedom? Imagine this: you start your own business, full of hope and ambition. The first few months are a whirlwind of excitement, new ideas, new challenges, new opportunities. You revel in the freedom of being your own boss, of setting your own schedule. But soon, the reality sets in. The late nights, the constant pressure, the never-ending cycle of decisions. Business ownership starts to feel less like freedom and more like a never-ending loop of obligation. You are constantly on call, always available, always at the mercy of your own creation. The paradox of entrepreneurship is that while it promises freedom, it often delivers the opposite. You may no longer answer to a boss, but now you answer to your clients, your employees, your responsibilities. The weight of ownership can become so heavy that you long for the stability and structure that a traditional job once offered. Is starting a business truly about freedom, or is it just another form of commitment that traps you in ways that are more insidious than a 9-to-5 job? This paradox forces you to confront the reality that while you may escape one set of chains, you are only replacing them with another. The entrepreneurial dream is often built on the illusion that freedom is found in breaking away. But freedom may only be found when you relinquish the need for control and let go of the constant drive to build and expand. Can true freedom ever exist in a world where success is measured by constant growth and responsibility? The illusion of when to save and when to spend. Money is often seen as the ultimate form of freedom. Saving it provides security, while spending it offers enjoyment. We are taught to be cautious with our resources, to save for the future, to hold back today for a more secure tomorrow. But what if the very act of saving is just a way of postponing life, and spending is the way we actually invest in our true happiness? What if we are so obsessed with securing a future that we forget to live in the present? Picture this. You spend years saving, investing in your future, building a financial cushion that will one day allow you to retire comfortably. You forego vacations, luxuries, and pleasures, all in the name of financial security. But then, one day, you wake up, and the future you've been saving for no longer seems so important. The years you sacrificed are gone, and what you have to show for them is a pile of savings, but no real experiences, no moments of joy, no memories. This paradox is not about money itself, it's about how we view it. Saving becomes an obsession, a way to control an uncontrollable future. We tell ourselves that we are being responsible. But what if we are simply avoiding the reality that life is short, and the future is never guaranteed? Spending, on the other hand, becomes a way of engaging with the world, of buying into experiences that can give us meaning in the moment. But then we are told that spending is irresponsible, that it leads to debt and insecurity. Is saving for the future truly the responsible choice, or is it just an excuse to avoid the risk of living fully in the present? The deeper question here is whether we can ever strike a balance between the two. Can we ever truly live in the present while securing the future? Or are we doomed to either sacrifice the now or waste the future? Can we ever be truly free from the constant tug of saving and spending, or is it a cycle that will continue until the end of our lives? The illusion of financial planning for your future. We are told that the key to a secure future lies in meticulous financial planning. We invest, we save, we calculate, all with the promise that tomorrow will be easier, that our future selves will thank us for our discipline today. But what if this act of planning isn't securing our future at all, but trapping us in a cycle of deferred happiness? What if, in focusing so intently on what lies ahead, we are sacrificing the very thing that makes life meaningful, the present? Imagine, you sit down with your financial planner, carefully charting out a course of action that promises financial security in the years to come. You contribute to your retirement fund, cut back on spending, and plan for every possible contingency. You watch as your savings grow, your investments multiply, and yet something feels off. The future is looking secure, but the now feels empty. Every day spent working, saving, and investing feels like a sacrifice, a bargain you've made with yourself for an unknown reward. But what if the reward isn't as satisfying as you imagined? What if, in focusing so heavily on tomorrow, you are neglecting the joy of today? This paradox lies in the very nature of financial planning. It promises security, but that security is often built on the premise of denying immediate satisfaction. By focusing solely on the future, we often rob ourselves of the experiences, pleasures, and growth that can only happen now. The future becomes a mirage, an illusion that we endlessly chase while life slips through our fingers. Are we truly securing our future, or are we just postponing the life we could have lived today? When we focus only on what we will one day have, we miss out on the life we are living right now. The paradox is that financial planning, instead of offering us freedom, can become another form of bondage, binding us to a future that may never come. Can we ever truly plan for the future without sacrificing the joy of the present? The illusion of taking a gap year. The idea of a gap year is often romanticized as the ultimate escape from the pressures of school or work. It's a time for self-discovery, adventure, and the pursuit of passion, far from the constraints of responsibility. But what if, in taking a gap year, you are not stepping into freedom, but rather falling into a trap of uncertainty, a limbo that prolongs your indecision and stunts your personal growth? Imagine, you leave for a gap year, filled with excitement and dreams of self-discovery. You travel, meet new people, and experience new cultures. At first, it feels like the world is wide open, that you've broken free from the constraints of everyday life. But soon, the thrill fades. You realize that you are no closer to figuring out who you are, and the time spent finding yourself feels more like running away from the inevitable responsibilities you're avoiding. The gap year becomes a suspended reality, an endless state of transition where nothing ever truly starts or ends. The paradox of a gap year lies in the idea that it is a time of freedom and growth. But the longer you stay in that in-between space, the more you may feel stuck. It's a year meant for discovery, but it often becomes a year of stalling, of delaying the decisions that need to be made. You might return home feeling more lost than ever, realizing that the time you spent finding yourself only took you further away from the answers you were looking for. Is a gap year truly a time for growth? Or is it just a way of avoiding the very choices and responsibilities that are necessary for real development? The paradox is that the freedom of the gap year often leads to a greater sense of uncertainty and stagnation. The act of delaying decisions can feel liberating at first, but it only deepens the sense of being stuck, unable to move forward. Can you ever truly find yourself in a space where time stands still, or do you only delay the inevitable? The illusion of building or breaking friendships in adulthood. In childhood, friendships come easily, relationships are simple, untainted by the complexities of life. But as we grow older, friendships become more difficult to cultivate. We are told that in adulthood, it's necessary to carefully choose who we spend our time with, to build relationships that are meaningful and enriching. But what if the act of carefully choosing friends is actually a form of isolation, a trap that prevents us from forming true, organic connections? What if, by trying to control our friendships, we are missing out on the very spontaneity that makes them meaningful? Picture this: you meet someone new, and the possibility of a new friendship feels exciting. But as time passes, you begin to question whether this person is truly a friend or just another acquaintance. The expectations weigh heavily on the relationship. Should you invest more time, more effort? The more you try to build a meaningful connection, the more it feels forced, artificial. You begin to wonder if this relationship will ever feel as effortless as the friendships of your past. The paradox here is that in adulthood, the more effort we put into maintaining friendships, the less authentic they feel. We try to curate and control our social circles, but in doing so, we lose the rawness and spontaneity that come from unstructured, unplanned connections. The more we try to build, the more fragile the friendship becomes, always teetering on the edge of expectation and obligation. Are we truly building meaningful friendships, or are we simply cultivating a collection of acquaintances that never truly satisfy the need for real human connection? The act of building relationships, with all its structure and effort, can often backfire, leaving us feeling more disconnected than ever. In our pursuit of meaningful connections, we may miss the most valuable ones, those that come without planning, without expectation, and without the need to control. Can a friendship ever truly thrive if it is cultivated through effort, or is it only the unforced connections that offer real depth? The illusion of choosing to live in the city or suburbs. The choice between living in the city or the suburbs is often seen as a reflection of personal preference. One represents excitement, opportunity, and culture, while the other promises peace, stability, and space. But what if this choice, like so many others, isn't about personal preference at all? What if, no matter where you choose to live, you are still imprisoned by the very systems that dictate your existence? Imagine this: you move to the city, drawn by the vibrancy, the excitement, the endless opportunities. But soon, you are overwhelmed by the noise, the constant rush, the feeling of being just one in a million. The city, with all its promise, starts to feel like a machine that grinds you down. You dream of escape, of a quieter life, and you move to the suburbs. Yet, in the silence of the suburbs, you begin to feel a different kind of loneliness, a lack of stimulation, a sense of being cut off from the world. The paradox is that no matter where you live, you are always caught between two worlds, one that feels suffocating and the other that feels isolating. The city offers excitement, but it also offers disconnection. The suburbs offer peace, but it often comes with a sense of isolation and boredom. The choice between them is not one of liberation, but a choice between two forms of constraint. Is the choice between city and suburb really about freedom, or is it just a different form of confinement, one that offers no real escape? The paradox lies in the fact that the very decision you make to find peace or excitement traps you in a cycle of dissatisfaction. You may never find the balance you're searching for, because the expectations of each environment are impossible to fulfill completely. Can you ever truly escape the feeling of confinement, no matter where you live? The illusion of being single versus in a relationship. The decision to be single or in a relationship is often viewed as a matter of personal preference, a choice between independence and companionship. Society tells us that being in a relationship completes us, while being single is often seen as a temporary phase, an incomplete state. But what if neither state offers the fulfillment we're promised? What if both being single and being in a relationship are simply different forms of existential isolation, ones that we can never fully escape? Picture this: you decide to be single. You relish the freedom, the ability to live life on your own terms, to make choices without having to consider another person. But as time goes on, you begin to feel the weight of loneliness. You watch couples enjoying their lives, and you start to wonder if you're missing out. You begin to question whether you're truly happy or simply avoiding the discomfort of vulnerability. Your independence becomes a shield, one that keeps others at a distance, but also leaves you yearning for connection. Now, imagine you choose to enter a relationship. At first, it feels like the answer to everything. The companionship, the intimacy, the shared experiences, it all feels right. But soon, the reality sets in. The compromises, the constant negotiations, the silent expectations. Being in a relationship isn't as freeing as you thought. You begin to lose parts of yourself in the process. The weight of another person's needs, desires, and emotions begins to feel like a burden. You may not feel lonely anymore, but now you feel trapped. Trapped by someone else's presence, trapped by the need to maintain the connection at all costs. The paradox lies in the fact that both being single and being in a relationship offer a kind of isolation. In one, you're isolated by your own independence. In the other, you're isolated by the emotional complexities of another person. Neither state truly frees you from loneliness, because the source of that loneliness is not external, it's internal. Is being in a relationship truly a solution to loneliness, or does it only create a different kind of isolation? Whether you're single or in a relationship, the truth is that both offer their own forms of captivity. The illusion lies in the belief that either state will bring true fulfillment. But perhaps fulfillment cannot be found in another person, or in the absence of one, it must be found within. Can we ever truly escape loneliness, or is it simply a condition of being human, no matter who we're with? The illusion of going into debt for something you want. Debt is often seen as the price we pay for the things we want, whether it's a home, a car, or something more fleeting like a vacation or luxury item. We are taught to believe that going into debt is a necessary step in achieving the life we desire. But what if, by going into debt, we are not securing our future happiness, but shackling ourselves to a future of anxiety and regret? What if the things we buy on credit are not investments, but weights that will eventually drag us down? Imagine, you purchase the car of your dreams, one that you've wanted for years. You take out a loan, committing to years of payments. At first, the car brings joy, its sleek design, its newness, the feeling of success that comes with ownership. But as the months go on, the payments become a burden. Every month, a portion of your salary is consumed by the debt. The joy of owning the car fades, replaced by the ever-growing stress of keeping up with the payments. What seemed like a symbol of success now feels like a chain around your neck, reminding you of the price you paid for something that was never truly yours. The paradox here is that we often buy things with the expectation that they will bring happiness, only to find that the weight of debt steals that very happiness away. What was meant to be an investment in our joy becomes a constant source of stress, a reminder that we are never truly free. Debt becomes a cycle, a loop that we can't break out of. Are we truly investing in our happiness, or are we simply exchanging our future peace for momentary satisfaction? The deeper question here is whether the things we desire are truly worth the price we pay. Is the fleeting joy of new possessions worth the burden of debt, or are we sacrificing long-term happiness for short-term gratification? Can you ever escape the trap of debt, or is it a constant cycle that we're doomed to repeat? The illusion of dealing with career burnout. Career burnout is a term that has become all too familiar in today's fast-paced, performance-driven world. We are constantly told that if we just push through, if we work harder, we'll reach the success we've been promised. But what if burnout is not something to be solved, but a reflection of a deeper, existential crisis? What if, in pushing harder, we're not overcoming burnout, but reinforcing the very systems that create it? Picture this: you're overwhelmed. Your work feels like a constant weight, a never-ending cycle of tasks and deadlines. You feel drained, disconnected, and unmotivated, but you push through. You tell yourself that if you just work a little harder, a little longer, you'll get back on track. But the harder you work, the more exhausted you become. The more you try to fix the problem, the worse it gets. You realize that burnout isn't just a temporary condition, it's a symptom of something deeper. It's not the work itself that is the problem. It's the very structure of your life, the constant demand to do more, to be more. The paradox of burnout is that we often try to fix it by doing more, by working harder, but this only deepens the problem. The system we are trapped in rewards productivity over well-being, success over balance. Burnout isn't just a personal issue, It's a systemic issue. Can you ever truly overcome burnout if the system itself is designed to create it? The deeper question here is whether burnout is something that can be solved by individual effort, or if it's a result of a larger, unsustainable system that needs to be changed. Can we ever truly escape the pressures of career and success, or are we doomed to burn out in the pursuit of a life we never chose? The illusion of making the decision to retire. Retirement is often painted as the ultimate reward after a lifetime of work, the time when we finally have the freedom to relax, to enjoy life without the constraints of a job. It's the pinnacle of financial planning and a symbol of success. But what if retirement, instead of bringing freedom, brings a different kind of prison? What if, in waiting for retirement, we are merely postponing the inevitable decay of purpose and fulfillment that we've been avoiding throughout our working lives? Imagine this. You've worked tirelessly for decades, always keeping an eye on the prize. The day you can retire, the day you can leave your job behind and finally live your life. You've saved, invested, planned, all for the moment when you'll walk away from your responsibilities and enjoy the fruits of your labor. When that day arrives, you feel a sense of relief, but soon, a deeper emptiness sets in. The structure that once provided meaning, the daily routines, the sense of purpose, gone. Retirement, once the symbol of freedom, now feels like an endless void. The paradox of retirement is that it promises freedom, but often delivers a sense of purposelessness. For decades, you've been working towards a goal, but what happens when that goal is achieved? The freedom you anticipated might feel less like liberation and more like stagnation. The time you thought you would fill with relaxation and joy now feels empty, as you struggle to find meaning without the work that once defined you. Is retirement truly the reward we think it is, or does it simply represent a final surrender to a life that has always been defined by work and obligation? This paradox forces us to reconsider the very notion of retirement. It may not be the ultimate freedom we seek, but rather the culmination of a lifetime spent focusing on the wrong things, things that we thought would bring joy, but instead, only bring the crushing weight of time that no longer feels meaningful. Can you ever truly retire from the life that work has shaped you into, or is retirement just another phase of the same existential trap? The illusion of life after a divorce. Divorce is often seen as the end of a chapter, the opportunity to break free from a relationship that no longer serves you. It is the escape from what was, and the beginning of something new. But what if, in reality, divorce is not a fresh start, but a continuation of a deeper cycle of dissatisfaction, loneliness, and emotional turmoil? What if, instead of liberation, divorce merely brings you face to face with your own unresolved needs and wounds? Picture this. You go through a divorce, convinced that it will set you free. You finally leave a relationship that has drained you, and you expect to feel light, unburdened. But as the months pass, the weight of the breakup starts to settle in. The loneliness, the absence of a partner to share life with, the emptiness that lingers long after the papers are signed. You thought divorce would bring freedom, but instead, it seems to have only opened up an even deeper void. The paradox of divorce lies in the fact that, while it may liberate you from a relationship, it often doesn't free you from the emotional baggage that comes with it. The end of a marriage is not the end of the psychological, emotional, and social connections that were built over years of partnership. Those connections remain in your mind, in your heart, and in your habits, long after the relationship has ended. Is divorce truly freedom, or is it just a temporary escape from the deeper emotional wounds that the relationship never healed? The deeper question here is whether we can ever truly escape from the effects of a past relationship, or if we are forever shaped by it, even after the divorce. Can you ever truly be free from a relationship that defines so much of your life, or does it haunt you long after the end? The illusion of choosing between family and career. We are often told that we must choose between our family and our career, that one must come at the expense of the other. Society places immense pressure on individuals to find a balance, but what if that balance is an illusion? What if, in trying to juggle both, we end up sacrificing the most important parts of ourselves, trapped between two worlds that demand more than we can give? Imagine this: you're working a high-powered job, climbing the corporate ladder, chasing success. But as you rise, you realize that the time you're spending at work is taking a toll on your family. Your children are growing up without you, your spouse feels distant, and your personal life is falling apart. You try to change course, to focus more on family, but then the career opportunities slip away, and you begin to feel that you're losing your professional identity. You're constantly pulled between two worlds, neither of which can ever fully fulfill you. The paradox here is that no matter what choice you make, you are still losing. If you prioritize your career, you sacrifice family. If you prioritize family, you sacrifice the career you've worked so hard to build. And what if, in trying to please both, you end up sacrificing something even more important, yourself? The more you try to balance, the more you feel like you are slipping through the cracks, unable to fully embrace either role. Can you ever truly balance family and career, or are you doomed to sacrifice one for the other? The deeper truth may be that the pressure to choose between family and career is an artificial construct. The idea of balance itself may be a myth, an illusion that keeps you trapped in a cycle of dissatisfaction, no matter what path you choose. Is it possible to find fulfillment in both family and career, or must one always be sacrificed to achieve success in the other? The illusion of making a major health decision. When faced with a major health decision, we are often told that we must take control of our own bodies, that the decisions we make will shape the course of our lives. But what if, in trying to take control, we are only confronted with our own vulnerability? What if the very act of making a health decision, the belief that we can control our fate, is an illusion? Picture this: you are diagnosed with a serious illness. The doctor offers you several treatment options, each with its own risks and benefits. You're told that the decision is yours to make, that your future is in your hands. You weigh the options, research everything you can, and ultimately make a choice. But soon, you begin to realize that no matter what you choose, there is no guarantee. The future is uncertain, and the outcome is largely out of your control. You are left with the realization that, in trying to control your health, you have only revealed how little control you actually have. The paradox here is that health decisions are often framed as acts of control, but in truth, we are at the mercy of forces beyond our understanding. No matter how much we plan, no matter how many steps we take, we can never truly control our own bodies. The illusion of choice in health decisions often obscures the reality that we are simply navigating a sea of uncertainty. Are we truly in control of our health, or are we merely pretending to be, when in fact we are at the mercy of forces we cannot comprehend? This paradox challenges the very notion of free will and control over our bodies. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that, no matter how many decisions we make, we can never fully escape the unpredictability of life. Can we ever truly control our health, or are we simply playing a game in which the rules are beyond our understanding? The illusion of investing in stock markets versus real estate. We are taught that investing is the key to financial success, that we must play the game of stocks, bonds, or real estate to secure our futures. We are told that these investments are the means to a better, more comfortable life. But what if the very act of investing is a trap? What if, in trying to secure our future, we are simply gambling with our peace of mind, locking ourselves into a cycle of risk and uncertainty that we cannot escape? Imagine, you invest heavily in real estate, convinced that property will always increase in value, providing you with security for the future. You pour your savings into properties, hoping that your investment will grow. But soon, the market begins to fluctuate. The value of your properties drops. You're left with the crushing weight of debt, unable to sell without a loss. Every day is filled with the uncertainty of whether your investments will ever turn a profit. In the pursuit of financial security, you found yourself bound to a volatile, unpredictable market, your fate tied to forces beyond your control. Now, imagine investing in stocks. The stock market promises endless growth, endless opportunities. You buy shares in companies you believe will succeed, only to watch as the market crashes, and your investments plummet in value. The sense of security you once felt evaporates, leaving behind nothing but the nagging fear of what might happen next. You thought you were in control, but the market has a life of its own, indifferent to your plans. The paradox here is that both stock market and real estate investments promise stability and growth, but they both come with inherent risks that can quickly spiral out of your control. The more you invest, the more you are bound to a system that offers no guarantees, no security, and no real sense of ownership. Are you truly securing your future through investments, or are you simply gambling with your peace of mind, bound to the unpredictable fluctuations of markets that you can't control? The more you invest, the more you realize how little control you have over your financial future. The systems you are depending on are built on assumptions, on projections, on risks that you cannot predict or influence. The real question is whether investing in the first place is an illusion of control. Can you ever truly secure your future through investments, or are you just playing a game where the odds are always against you? The illusion of choosing to stay in a job you hate. Staying in a job you dislike is often seen as a necessary evil, a means to an end. The logic is that you endure the unhappiness, the monotony, in exchange for the stability, the paycheck, and the future security that the job provides. But what if staying in a job you hate isn't just a temporary discomfort but a trap, a choice that keeps you chained to a life that isn't truly yours? What if, in choosing to stay, you are sacrificing your future happiness for the false comfort of routine and security? Imagine, you wake up every morning dreading the day ahead. Your job has become a source of frustration, but you tell yourself that it's just a phase, that it's necessary for your future goals. You stay because the paycheck is steady, the benefits are reliable, and the fear of change outweighs the discomfort of your current situation. But as the years go by, the dissatisfaction only deepens. Your life is spent chasing the weekend, waiting for the next vacation, wishing for something more, but never actually making the leap to change. The paradox is that staying in a job you hate, with the justification of future security, is often the very thing that ensures your future dissatisfaction. You put off your dreams, your passions, your desires for something that seems more stable, more rational. But in doing so, you lock yourself into a cycle of emotional and intellectual stagnation. The longer you stay, the more you lose touch with who you truly are, with what you truly want. Is staying in a job you hate truly the responsible choice, or is it the easy way out, an avoidance of the risk that comes with pursuing something you actually care about? By staying in a job that drains you, you are making a choice. But it's not a choice for happiness, it's a choice for comfort, for familiarity, for the illusion of security. The more you choose the known, the more you miss out on the potential that lies outside the walls of your current reality. Can you ever find true fulfillment if you continue to stay in a job that suffocates your spirit, or is that the trap of all unfulfilled lives? The illusion of letting go of the past. We are constantly told that in order to move forward, we must let go of the past. We are encouraged to release the baggage, to forgive, to forget, so that we can live in the present, free from the weight of old wounds. But what if the very act of trying to let go is the thing that keeps the past alive? What if, in our efforts to rid ourselves of the past, we are merely reinforcing its grip on us? Imagine, you've had a painful breakup, a deep betrayal, or a traumatic loss. You are told that in order to heal, you must let go, move on, leave the past behind. But no matter how hard you try, the memories remain. They resurface in moments when you least expect it, dragging you back into the emotional turmoil you thought you had escaped. You seek therapy, you read self-help books, you make efforts to forgive, to release, but the past refuses to be forgotten. The paradox here is that by trying so hard to let go, you may be inadvertently holding on even tighter. The effort itself becomes a focal point, an obsession, a way of constantly keeping the past in your thoughts. Letting go becomes the very thing that prevents you from truly moving forward, because the attempt to control your emotions and your memories only deepens their hold on you. Is letting go of the past truly the key to healing, or is it just a way of refusing to face the present reality of who you've become because of it? The deeper truth here is that the past is not something we can simply let go of. It shapes us, defines us, and is woven into every aspect of our present. The more we try to erase it, the more it asserts itself, reminding us that it is always a part of who we are. Can you ever truly let go of the past, or is it an integral part of your identity that will never truly disappear? The illusion of making the decision to end a toxic relationship. Ending a toxic relationship is often seen as a form of liberation, the moment when you break free from manipulation, abuse, or emotional drain. You believe that walking away will set you free, that the weight of the relationship will no longer define you. But what if ending the relationship isn't liberation at all? What if, by leaving, you're simply creating another form of attachment, one that binds you to the past, to unresolved emotions, and to the very cycle of toxicity you were trying to escape. Imagine, you decide to end a toxic relationship. At first, the decision feels like a victory, a triumph of self-respect. But soon, the reality of loneliness sets in. You begin to question whether you made the right choice. The absence of the person who once consumed so much of your emotional energy leaves a void that nothing can fill. The toxicity is gone, but in its place, a deep emotional emptiness begins to form. You realize that even in leaving, you are still emotionally tied to that person, still haunted by the memories, the unresolved feelings. The paradox is that leaving a toxic relationship doesn't necessarily bring freedom. It often brings grief, confusion, and a sense of loss. You thought the end would bring closure, but it often leaves you with a deeper sense of longing. You are no longer attached to the person, but you remain attached to the pain, to the lessons, to the emotional scars. Is ending a toxic relationship truly liberation, or does it simply shift the emotional burden from one place to another? The deeper question here is whether any relationship, good or bad, can truly be ended. The emotional connections, the bonds we form, are never so easily severed. They linger, sometimes for years, even after we think we've moved on. Can you ever truly escape the emotional ties of a toxic relationship, or are you forever bound to its memory? The illusion of how to choose a financial planner or advisor. We are often told that financial success is a matter of making the right decisions and choosing the right experts to guide us. A financial planner or advisor is meant to be someone who can help us navigate the complexities of wealth management, ensuring our future security and financial growth. But what if the very act of seeking financial advice is itself a trap? What if, by handing control of our financial lives to someone else, we are not securing our future, but deepening our dependence on external systems that we can never fully understand or control? Imagine this: you've worked hard to save and invest, but you feel overwhelmed by the complexities of managing your finances. You decide to hire a financial advisor, someone who can help you make sense of it all. They promise to optimize your portfolio, manage your risks, and ensure that your wealth grows steadily. At first, it seems like the perfect solution. But as time passes, you begin to feel increasingly disconnected from your own financial situation. The more you rely on the advisor's expertise, the more you find yourself trusting their decisions without fully understanding them. You become dependent on their advice, unable to make decisions on your own without their approval. The paradox lies in the fact that financial planning, which is supposed to offer independence and control, often leads to greater dependence. The more you rely on external experts, the less you understand about your own financial world. You may be securing your wealth in the short term, but you're also losing control of your own financial future. You become a passive observer, relying on someone else's judgment to determine your financial fate. Are you truly securing your financial future by trusting an advisor, or are you simply surrendering control over your own wealth, leaving your financial future in someone else's hands? The deeper truth is that while financial advisors may offer expertise, they cannot provide the one thing that is crucial to your financial independence: understanding. The more you rely on others to manage your wealth, the more you lose touch with the very skills that would allow you to truly control it. Can you ever truly be financially independent if you rely on others to make your decisions? The illusion of dealing with loneliness. Should you seek professional help? Loneliness is one of the most universally felt emotions. It's a shadow that looms over all of us at various points in our lives, a feeling of isolation that can be both painful and overwhelming. In an effort to escape the grip of loneliness, many turn to therapy or professional help, hoping that an external intervention can provide the cure. But what if seeking help for loneliness isn't the solution, but another form of dependency? What if, in trying to solve loneliness through external means, we are merely reinforcing the belief that we are incomplete, that our happiness is something someone else must provide? Picture this: you feel the weight of loneliness growing heavier with each passing day. You decide to see a therapist, convinced that professional guidance will help you find a way out. The sessions begin, and for a time, you feel heard and understood. But as time passes, you realize that your sessions have become your crutch. You wait for the next appointment, the next conversation, believing that the therapist's words will fix you. The loneliness remains, but now it feels like it's something you need to keep addressing, something that can never be solved without external intervention. The paradox here is that seeking professional help for loneliness may provide temporary relief, but it can also trap you in the belief that your happiness and self-worth are dependent on others. The more you rely on external sources for validation and connection, the more you reinforce the idea that you are incapable of addressing your loneliness on your own. Can you ever truly escape loneliness if you constantly rely on others to fill the void? The deeper truth is that while therapy and support are important, they should not be seen as the ultimate solution to loneliness. True connection can only come from within, from your ability to face and embrace your own solitude, to find peace in your own company. Can you ever truly be free of loneliness? Or is it simply a part of the human condition that we must learn to live with? The illusion of starting a fitness journey. How to stay committed. We are often told that the key to living a fulfilling life lies in maintaining a healthy body. Fitness is promoted as the gateway to happiness, vitality, and longevity. We are encouraged to commit to regular exercise, to transform our bodies into machines that can withstand the trials of life. But what if, in our pursuit of fitness, we are not becoming stronger, but merely reinforcing the illusion that our self-worth is tied to our physical appearance? What if, in our commitment to fitness, we are only creating new forms of self-imposed pressure and unrealistic expectations? Imagine, you start your fitness journey with excitement, full of determination to get in shape, to feel better about yourself. At first, it feels empowering. You see the progress, the weight you've lost, the muscles you've gained, the compliments from others. But over time, the pressure to maintain these results grows. The gym becomes a place of anxiety, where every workout is an attempt to stay on top, to prove to yourself and others that you are worthy. The excitement turns to obligation. What began as a pursuit of health becomes a never-ending cycle of striving for perfection, a cycle that only leaves you feeling more exhausted and disconnected from the very reason you started. The paradox of fitness is that while it promises self-improvement, it often leads to self-criticism. The more you strive for physical perfection, the more you begin to define your worth by how you look and how much you can achieve. The pursuit of fitness can easily become an obsession, a way of proving to the world, and to yourself, that you are good enough. Is fitness truly about improving your health? Or is it about meeting external expectations and reinforcing the illusion that you are only valuable if you fit a certain image? The deeper question here is whether we can ever truly pursue fitness for the sake of health and well-being, or whether it will always be bound to our need for external validation and societal approval. Can you ever truly achieve fitness for the right reasons, or are you doomed to fall into the trap of body obsession and external expectations? The illusion of choosing between pursuing passion versus stability. We are often presented with a choice: follow your passion or seek stability. Passion is seen as the ultimate pursuit, the thing that will bring fulfillment and purpose. Stability, on the other hand, is associated with security, comfort, and safety. But what if both of these ideals are flawed? What if, by choosing one, you are sacrificing the other, and in the end, neither passion nor stability provides the fulfillment you seek? Imagine, you choose to follow your passion. You pursue a career that excites you, that fills you with energy and purpose. But as time goes on, the financial strain becomes apparent. The instability of following your passion leaves you anxious and uncertain. You wonder if you made the right choice. On the other hand, you could have chosen stability, pursued a steady job with a guaranteed paycheck, but that would have meant giving up the very thing that made you feel alive. The decision is not simple, and you are left questioning whether any choice can ever truly satisfy you. The paradox lies in the fact that both pursuing passion and seeking stability are often framed as opposing forces, but neither guarantees happiness or fulfillment. Passion alone can lead to instability, while stability alone can lead to stagnation. The more you chase one, the more you feel the loss of the other. Can you ever truly have both passion and stability, or must you sacrifice one for the other? The deeper truth is that neither passion nor stability is a guarantee of fulfillment. The pursuit of one often leaves you yearning for the other. True happiness may lie in accepting that you cannot have it all, and that the balance between passion and stability is a delicate, ever-changing equilibrium. Can you ever truly find fulfillment if you continue to search for the perfect balance between passion and stability? Or is it an impossible ideal? The illusion of deciding on a retirement location. The decision of where to retire is often seen as the final act of control over our lives. We think that, in choosing the right location, we can finally escape the stresses of our working years and enjoy a peaceful, fulfilling retirement. But what if, in searching for the perfect retirement location, we are merely searching for an escape from the inevitable decline of aging, from the reality that no place can ever provide the peace we seek? Imagine, you retire to a quiet coastal town, a place you've dreamed about for years. It's idyllic, the beach, the calm, the beautiful sunsets. But as time goes on, you begin to feel restless. The peace you sought becomes monotonous. The activities you once thought would bring joy now feel empty. You realize that no place, no matter how beautiful, can ever fill the void left by the passing of time. Retirement becomes less about finding peace and more about avoiding the realities of aging, of facing the fact that life will never be as it once was. The paradox here is that the perfect retirement location, which promises freedom and relaxation, may simply be a distraction from the inevitable. The search for the perfect place to retire becomes a way of avoiding the deeper question of what it means to grow older, to face the decline of vitality and independence. Is the search for the perfect retirement location truly about freedom, or is it just a way of avoiding the deeper truths of aging and mortality? The deeper question is whether we can ever truly escape the realities of aging, or whether we are always searching for a place that will provide us with the illusion of eternal youth. Can you ever truly find peace in retirement, or are we simply running away from the inevitable decline of life itself?